So, after 3 degrees and 5 years after my last degree, I've come to realize that education and experience, if I could take back the hand of time, I would most definitely go for experience. Dudum. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Claire Idera. I'm Claire Idera. Clearly speaking on, I'm just going to hope and believe that this microphone is working today. 10 things you need to consider as you navigate your creative career. So this thing that I'm sharing today, I talk about a lot within my creative community at Idera Workshop. But because workshop has been closed for a while, and I just really can't do without talking about the things that I've learned on my journey. As you may or may not know, I've been in the creative industry for the past 10 years. This year, I'm taking a break and I'm using the opportunity to tell you or teach you a few things, right? So let's just quickly get into this. There are 4 elements in my story that makes my journey interesting or unique, or I would say it adds to my advantage in life. So one is that I'm Nigerian. Nigerian means that I started school early. I'm in an ecosystem that forces us to be great, right? I'm also privileged. I have parents who were able to pay for my education. I'm also a bookworm, so I almost did a PhD. It's just that my husband proposed to me and promised me a life where I would not have to work. But look at me now. And finally, I have many interests. I'm particularly working and active in the creative industry. What is this video for? This video is not for everyone. It's pretty much for those people who are trying to get into school, either undergrad or postgrad. This is for people who are navigating a new career, for people who actually just like to hear my voice and are ready to just get through with this video. And let's not even leave out the confused people, the indifferent people. You're not sure what to do with your life. Sis, bro, I got you. So this video will pretty much give you insight into my pathway or many other pathways that you can take, and you will learn from experience. And I want to try to demystify the connection between your purpose in life and your current active or passive career. They're not the same. They just sort of walk around each other, but your career isn't always necessarily your purpose in life. So after 3 degrees and 5 years after my last degree, I've come to realize that education and experience, if I could take back the hand of time, I would most definitely go for experience. Getting a master's degree, an undergraduate degree, it's all great and they're nice to have. But for me, I would rather have more work experience than having lots and lots of degrees. And I say this because I was wise enough to be able to do both simultaneously in my life. So if you haven't watched this video, please go watch it. It gives you more insight into sort of like my journey. I was able to, while I was studying, work, and this allowed me to sort of be ahead of a few of my colleagues in school once we had graduated, because I immediately went straight into working class. The fact that you don't have a master's degree yet is not the end of your life. It's also not the beginning of your life. If you are about to enter for your master's, it does not mean that everything is going to fall in perfect places for you because of a master's degree. No. The problem is you're able to get a master's degree and then now try to get a job. If you don't already have some sort of work experience, some people are going to put you on a lower pedestal and you're going to have to pretty much sooner or later begin your work up on the ladder. So it's always better to start first or start early. Start your work experience or experience in life early. I've read a couple of articles where we talk about like employment, work experience, or education, and it seems like both have their pros and cons. However, from my experience, I would rather quickly be in the job market. And for you to make this kind of decision, you have to consider the impact of the value of education and work experience. Like, what is the value you're going to be getting from it? And this differs for the different type of careers that you're doing. Like I said at the end of this video, specific for creative people, so fashion designers, artists, curators, etc. Please, I believe strongly that this industry is a lot more practical than theoretical in comparison to like doctors, nurses, etc. There's some jobs that also require you to have certification. That one you cannot really get certification through work experience. And I know there's some certifications that you can get from work experience. But if you're a doctor, please don't listen to me on this one. Go and get your certificate or your whatever, residency. I don't even know what that means. But if there's any education that you need to do to be verified, please go and do it. But most of the time in the art and fashion industry, you don't necessarily need academic certificates. If you're able to prove through your portfolio or prove through your work experience that you know your onions, that's good enough. And the point of getting into the job market early enough is not just for you to be earning good money in time or earning some money in time. It will also teach you life skills like transportation, navigating people, networking early enough, building pretty much life skills, negotiating your salary. You don't just get there, they tell you, oh, salary is 70k, and you say, okay. You can negotiate. You, from the beginning of the conversation, especially if you know what you're bringing to the table, you can always negotiate your way up. There's so much around like work that you can quickly learn in time. And as Nigerians, I feel like our perspective on work is so limited because we're more anchored towards acquiring academical achievements. And considering that in Nigeria, there are lots of limitations. Like the private schools are very limiting in the way that we can interact with each other. They have all these crazy restrictions that our Western colleagues don't have, right? So you now want to opt out for going to public schools, and you get to public school, and public school wants to show you shaggy by giving you unnecessary strikes here and there. You know, teaching strikes, no school, or they randomly increase the school fees. All these issues we have in Nigeria. So there's, in whatever age you find yourself, whether you're currently doing a doctor's job and you want to enter into the creative space, it's always good to find a way to part-time or do something in your spare time that you can use to build your muscle in the new career that you want to try out while you're doing what you're doing. And if you're a student, while you're waiting for your admission, get into volunteers, start working as an intern in the industry that you want to work in. Don't wait until you have a degree. I also want to say that through all these degrees that I've had, my interests have changed over time. And so allow yourself to grow, allow your interests to change. And you also need to be cautious. You also need to know yourself. You need to know whether you're actually just running away from the consistency that school gives. Because school is such an environment for you to build discipline. It's for you to build your own ability to start a project and end a project and work towards a deadline. It also has its own advantages, ECC. However, you need to understand that your interests can change, and they will change. As long as you're human, you're liable to change. So what happens when your interest changes? For one, I love to learn. So I use YouTube, Skillshare, I use Udemy, I use any platform that allows me to learn new things. I go on there, I research, I read, I get books, and I learn them. I don't necessarily have to go and get a degree to learn about carpentry. I watch lots of videos. I would try them out, the activities, be practical. I get a nail, I get a hammer, I nail on stuff. And what I've learned from experience is a lot of the things that I know, I haven't learned in school. So I know graphic design, but they didn't teach me graphic design in school. I learned from just putting my hands in a computer and trying things out, putting work out, getting feedback, getting criticism, and just doing. So school won't really let you do. Let me not be referencing school too much, so it doesn't look as if I'm not pro school. I'm very pro school though, because like I said, I'm a bookworm. I love school. I love school environment. I thrive in a school environment, so I like school. I don't have any beef for school, please. And so even regarding school, you're unable to get yourself to sit at an online school or YouTube or whatever, or you're unable to get yourself to read, you can sign up into a short course that is maybe physical and learn what you need to learn. It's always for a short period of time. So if it's 3 months that you can set apart to learn something, sign up for a short course and learn. Short courses are amazing. And like I said, I have graphic design skills. Over the years, over the 10 years plus that I've been working, I've acquired a variety of knowledge. And now that AI and tech is really blooming, I don't chicken out from all these things. If I see something new is up, I'm trying to see how I can learn it. I'm trying to see how I can be good at video editing skills, how I can be good with certain apps, how I can be good with certain softwares, not because I just love to, but it's just me improving on myself and growing in knowledge of things that I know that can be beneficial to me. So if you've been enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up. So let's imagine a situation now that I've started YouTube. I don't know how to edit. I have to go and pay somebody to edit my videos, or I'll just be shabby at it until I'm able to learn it at some point. But sometimes I don't have any ideal project that requires video in the submission, but I decide that, you know what, I'm going to try to add video to my submissions just so that I can put myself through the process of learning something new. I also mentioned at the beginning too that I have many interests. So I am a really intense DIY girl. I do my hair myself, I can do my nails myself, I can do whatever. I can paint the walls of my house myself, I plant myself, I can sew, I can cook. I'm just that person that wherever I go, I can't really be stranded, if I relocate to another country, I can start a new business. I know business. I'm very conversant with making documents, PowerPoints, just the basics of life, acquiring knowledge. And in a few of the degrees that I've gotten, I've noticed that there are people who are really, really, really much, much older than I am. And I've realized that age is not a factor. So you might be 45, you might be 50, and you're just feeling like, okay, I need to go and finally start my art career. It's not too late. You don't have to also, young people, please, you don't have to rush into starting life so early. There is no competition. Like, you're competing only with yourself. So age is not a factor in just being successful in life. Whoever said you are getting too old and you have not achieved anything is the voice of the devil. Can only be. This is your opportunity to start thinking about what you want to do in life and make plans and start working towards it. So age is not a factor. And for me, when I talked about impact of value, considering, these amounts of degrees, in hindsight, I really would have done short courses as opposed to taking all these 4 years of architecture, and I did not do anything with it. Anything. So I see, and I've met a lot of young people who go ahead and study English or psychology or just whatever course is available because of JAM, and they spend years going to school to study that one thing that they don't plan to use. If you have the opportunity to pause it or stop it at any point, please do, because there's no point just acquiring a certificate that you don't need for anything. The amount of money that you're using to invest in that course, you can use to invest in starting a new business, or use to invest in doing a short course that is in line with your interests or the thing that has become really clear to you. I know that there is stigma about being a dropout, but I know that if I could drop out from architecture, I would have, just so that I could focus on maybe even doing an undergrad in fashion design as opposed to architecture. And while you're acquiring all these degrees or all these work experiences, you need to really think about the end goal. What is the end goal? Are you looking for financial freedom? Are you looking to acquire more time for yourself? Are you looking to just, exploring your passions completely? Are you looking to be recognized in your industry? Or are you looking to just be quiet and making impacts in the world? Like, what is the end goal of your career journey, your career choices, and you even going to school? What's the end goal? What's the point of it all? Are you just going to school because your parents expect you to go to school? Are you just going to school or going to work because you need to put food on your table? I think we also need to see that there is a possibility of you working to put food on your table and also working to grow and just take the next step towards what you're aiming to become. There's always a bigger goal. So if you're working as maybe an art curator, are you working as an art curator for a certain number of years? And how many number of years do you want to even work as an art curator? And are you doing this because at some point you want to be able to own your own art gallery? And in owning your own art gallery, you cannot only work as an art curator. There are so many other skills and knowledge that you need to acquire to be able to own an art gallery. What does it require for you to be a landlord, or do you want to even rent? And what is the experience that you need to acquire in administration, in running a business, in running an art gallery in the country that you're in? What does it require you to know in collecting art, in representing artists, etc. There's so much more that you can learn while you're still working as an art curator. So I know that there is another struggle that we always have. If you watched the video where I shared about my creative journey, I talked about how I really wanted a job as a fashion designer, and the only role that they could give me was an online merchandiser. I didn't walk away from that role because I felt like being an online merchandiser would give me a stepping stone to becoming the role that I wanted to get into. And I pitched myself forward in that sense to say, okay, I'm going to work in this role, and if I'm able to be an amazing contribution to the company in this way, you give me an opportunity to work as a fashion designer assistant. And of course, like I said in that video, I did well. They loved me. I was the staff that sold the most in that month, and of course they were able to consider my proposal. So I say all this to say, I know that it's really hard for you to come out of school and look for a job without them looking down on you to say this is a role that is only available to you. I think in the meantime, you can work as a volunteer, look for internship jobs that you can do, look for volunteering jobs, just work for people, gain experience while you're studying, gain experience while you're waiting, offer your skills and watch yourself grow. I think a lot of people offer skills and always thinking, they're just taking from me. You don't see yourself actually growing while you're working. There's always growth, especially if you're pushing yourself to do more than you even said you were going to offer. And another thing that I even did in this area was to freelance. So even while I was studying, I was freelancing. And freelancing is, creating a self or a sole entrepreneurship of just me offering my services to people. So if I can do hair, I freelance as a hairstylist. If I can illustrate, I freelance as an illustrator. So while I'm studying maybe medicine, I'm freelancing as an artist. And you can easily get to a point where you realize that, okay, my degree is about to end. And so once my degree ends, because I've worked a couple of years as a freelancer, I can easily now have more time to scale up the business into something that I can be financially sustainable in or financially dependent on. Something that I also did was to research and get mentors that have similar pathways to me. So at the time while I was working as an illustrator, there really was no other illustrator that I knew in Nigeria. And so I looked out for illustrators in other countries and I found an illustrator in the US. Her name was Paper Fashion. I think she has changed it now to Katie Rogers on Instagram. She was the only one that I saw there, and I didn't get to actually have conversations with her, but I did a lot of research into her story. I read a lot from her about page, her bio on her website, to be able to understand what she was able to do to get to where she was. And I sort of just took that knowledge, kept doing more research on people who were working in that same space that she was, and used that to create my own pathway. So because nobody's life is the same as yours, you cannot use anybody's life to measure your own. However, you can use it as expo for yourself. So you want to become an artist. What are people doing to be able to get to that point that they are able to be successful artists? What did they study? Where did they work? What exhibitions did they do? You're not following their own artist style. You're only just following their career journey and trying to give yourself context into how you can also reach there. I think that's just self-explanatory. And I'm going to wrap up with just saying that you need to investigate and observe what's happening in the industry that you're interested in. Look for opportunities. I know that, like I said, when I started illustration, there really was no one, and so I really put myself out there and I was taking the jobs that they ideally would give maybe a graphic illustrator, and I would take that on and remix it and rework it as a fashion illustrator to create new things that people were interested in. I also opened myself up for a lot of collaborations with my colleagues just to put myself out there. So in the end of all this, like I said, there is no career that is linear. There is no career that is just, one-sided. And there's some people that actually have quite linear career. Like my elder sister started accounting, went ahead to do her accounting certificate. She's working with accounting companies, firms, and it's sort of linear actually. I would not even say it's completely linear because she's now diversifying into other areas. So that's just how life happens. Like life works. Your life is not going to be, I wake up, I'm going to be a doctor, and so you're going to be a doctor for life. Some people are like that, but then they have other interests that they're able to navigate, build, nurture for it to become another sort of source of income for themselves. So guys, comment in the comment section and I'll see you in my next video.